Good morning. Today is a very exciting day. Today we're heading out to Montana to Great Lake Off-Road, the custom fabrication shop where the guy is going to be building these axles for us. Nice thing about driving this through town is that you get stares from all the people. Let's see, this guy's checking out the truck. We'll give him a little third gear pull here, the Super Duty up here. Let's see if I can do this. Not the best camera angle, but you get all the looks when you're driving this thing through town, which is pretty cool. All right, so a lot of things have happened since I saw you last. I got pulled over by a cop for having no fender flares and no mud flaps. Luckily, I didn't get a ticket. He didn't light me up. We were just at a traffic stop or one of those signaling stops, so didn't get a ticket for that. But that means we need to figure out mud flaps and fender flares. So right now we're at the co-op in Sandpoint, and we're filling up the 7.3 Power Stroke, my dad's diesel truck. This is a 2002, so it has a 7.3. And the reason we're filling this up is because we've already been to the guy's shop, talked with him for a couple hours, and we're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on one of these Super Duty axles. So it's an 05 and up Super Duty axle we're gonna go with. It's the best axle out of the three, between keeping the landcruiser axle, going with the Kingpin or the Super Duty. And first and foremost, it's the best option because I get to share it with all you guys. I get to show you the entire process of how I build it. Whether this is for a Land Cruiser or any other project, you can kind of see if you need a passenger drop or just building a Dana 60 in general, how a beginner like me does it. So we're gonna head out to Montana. We'll be there in about an hour and a half and I'll bring you back. All right, so basically, yeah, I'm just... Do you use a drill or do you use this angle grinder?
I use an angle grinder. I use a portaband.
Portaband, yeah, okay.
If you don't have one, it's okay. I've done it without.
I'm gonna get one, yeah.
So, use like a 5-inch cutting wheel on an angle grinder, chisel, 3-pound hammer,
yeah,
and you just chunk this out.
Yeah.
So once you cut it, get these removed, these bushings out of there, and then just start chunking it out in pieces.
Okay, gotcha. And then cut the C's off.
Yeah, I would come to the edge of the tube.
Okay.
And cut it off. That leaves a little bit on the C side.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So this...
Get that bracket out of there with a plasma cutter or whatever.
I see.
Torch.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on this side, it's pretty
easy.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
This. And then
cut off right here.
Just right here?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how close to this?
No.
Okay.
No. What I do is I weld a little block inside there, and then I use a long bar I push through.
Ah, I see, okay. How much, if you were to take these, what are these called again?
Those are plug welds.
Plug welds. If you were to torch those, how much hydraulic pressure does it take in order to push those out? Not much? No. And are those turned down any on the inside, or?
They're not.
This piece of tube?
The DOM gets turned just slightly.
Just slightly, okay, like a 5,000?
It's not much.
Okay.
And it's more to, it helps with marking it so I know how far to put the tube in.
Okay, gotcha.
Depth-wise.
Yeah. Makes sense, yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, let's do it. Cool. So we made it back after about 10 hours of driving back and forth from Coeur d'Alene to Montana yesterday, and we have our Super Duty 1-ton axle in the back of this Super Duty here, and we're gonna try and get it out with a couple ratchet straps, our engine hoist. It's not sitting very equally on the load leveler that I've made, but it's the only thing I have as far as rigging right now, and I'm too lazy to go to Harbor Freight and grab the proper device. So we're gonna try and just shimmy this out of here, get it in a better position, lay it on the floor with 3 jack stands, and see how it goes. So don't try this at home. I'm just gonna, I don't like the way this is set, so I'm gonna let it down and try and reset where it's mounted to. make this work out exactly how I Okay. All right, well now that the axle is out, let's take a little look-see and see what we've got ourselves into. We'll just start from the hub side and work our way in. So these are 8x170 as far as the lug pattern. These come with a manual locking hub, so this will need to come off. The rotor will need to come off as well. Calipers are already off. And then this is the outer C. We'll be reusing these, and I don't think we're gonna go with high steer. This is the driver's side. Of course, everything's gonna get moved around, but we're gonna use a Y-link to tie into this part here from our steering link, which will be on the other side. And it basically uses a two-piece system. One is the tie rod or drag link. I'm not sure what this is technically referred to, and it ties into it. This is kind of a good example of what it'll be. The pitman arm will tie in to one shaft going into another shaft, the tie rod, which has a little hole for it. So not a crossover style steering, but it'll work. Rough Stuff Specialty has that kit in stock and ready to go. So we need to get all of these links off using a ball joint remover and probably some heat. We need to take our coil mount off. And unfortunately, these shock mounts just don't work with an 80 series coil. They're just a little too small for the coil windings, which is fine because these aren't actually tapered anyways, so we couldn't re-weld them onto the new pieces of tubing that will be put onto this axle housing. So these will just get junked. I was hopeful, but not gonna work. Since we'll be retubing this and moving this to the passenger side, we're not gonna be able to use the stock axles. So we can probably sell these maybe for $100, but these are 1480 U-joints as opposed to the Burfield style that the landcruiser uses. These are much stronger, especially when turning at angles, and I'll be on rocks, it'll be a lot stronger. So you can upgrade to 1550s. I don't really think it'll be necessary, even with 42-inch tires. So these are your sway bar bushings, which have been cut off. So I'm basically just gonna have to, I grabbed a portaband, and I'm gonna have to cut some of this off. If you're doing a truss for a 3-link system, you actually cut this casting back a little bit in order to get a little bit more access to the tubing, and you remove, this is a bump stop perch if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably gonna take some of this off so I can get the portaband in here because I need to cut behind this little shielding part right here in order to get into the actual piece of tubing, which is very short on this driver's side. The reason I need to do that is so that I can bring the seed to the guy who I bought this from, who's going to do the whole retubing. And what he's gonna be doing is torching out these plug welds on the housing which hold the axle tubing inside of the housing. So he's gonna torch all these out, and we're going to take all of our dimensions once we get it centered underneath the landcruiser and figure out exactly how much distance we need to the passenger and the driver's side. The driver's side obviously being longer. So that about does it for this side. We're going to cut right here with the portaband. Remember, we're just bringing him the center section. We're going to take out the ring and pinion, removing these bolts here, and we're going to be going with a 410 gear set. This is a 373, I believe. This is a bump stop perch. We won't be using that along with the radius arm. So I don't think we actually have to cut any of the radius arm off because we have just about enough area to cut with the portaband here. We might have to cut this section off, which we won't be using. We can grab all sorts of brackets from Barnes 4-wheel drive and all the different aftermarket companies, which basically just use a contour on this 4-inch tubing in order to weld it on wherever you want for brackets, 3 links, any type of, link system that you want. So again, the steering will be coming from the pitman arm in the landcruiser, which will be on the driver's side, tying into this lower knuckle here, and then this will be tying in to the tie rod here for your steering and alignment. You can have these outer knuckles machined and use a high steer arm with a double shear bolt. I do like that setup, but it gets costly. Don't think I really need it. Yes, this is going to be lower and it might be getting in the way of rocks, but again, we're on 42s, not really worried about the clearance. Same thing, we need to remove our brake, hub, all that good stuff. These actually use unit bearings instead of wheel bearings, which I like the design, so we're probably gonna keep all that. And these are the ball joints. They've been known for breaking on the Super Duties, but for being able to set alignment, I've heard it's better to just keep them instead of going with a ball joint eliminator, so we're gonna keep that. ABS is going to go. We don't need any of that. So what I'm going to get started on now is just removing as much as possible in order to get good angles to cut with the portaband. There's the rotor up. I've spent about 45 minutes trying to get the C-ring out of this hub to get the axle out of this knuckle, and to no avail with the C-ring pliers that I have. So I did some research, and this set of snap ring pliers is actually curved here, and that will help get around the axle itself and get in there to get that C-ring, because you just don't have a whole lot of room to work with in here. So having it curved to go around that axle will really help. And this snap ring is pretty stiff, so it's definitely difficult to get out with your regular set of snap ring pliers. So let's give this one a try. And another cool thing is that it ratchets. So I like this feature of having it being able to ratchet and hopefully be able to hold the snap ring in place, because again, it's just not a whole lot of room to work with up in here. So hopefully this will work. Let's give it a try. And just like that, on the first try, got the snap ring out. So highly recommend these snap ring pliers. So we'll take our 21mm socket, bang on it a few times, and you can see there's just a little bit of separation from the knuckle and the hub there. So we'll swivel this outer knuckle around, bang the socket on the other side, and then this thing should be free. All right, so hub is off. Whole thing was just rotating and pivoting, and I need to get this secured in a better fashion because whole thing almost fell over on me. So now, theoretically, I should be able to move this, get this axle out of here. I think I actually just need to get behind the axle back here and use a pry bar in order to get that out. So. Well, it took a bunch of heat, WD-40, prying, and just kind of using a pry bar in order to get the axle out, but it finally did. It was stuck on this machine surface here, and there's just a little bit of corrosion. We'll have to clean that up with a wire wheel or some other device that won't gall it. Not a whole lot of pitting or galling, for that matter, on the outer C, so I believe we can reuse that. We'll have to refer to, I don't know, some information online. Forums. So, driver's side axle is out, and now we can continue disassembling this. I'm going to start removing all of these tie rods and all that good stuff a little bit later, but now we need to press out these ball joints with a ball joint press removal tool of sorts and get this outer knuckle off. So we'll start by removing this upper ball joint nut. Well, we can just remove this by hand. All right. Many minutes of hammering later, and this is free. There we go. That was required a lot of hammering, but we got it off. So I've gotten the axle all stripped down. Both the hubs are off. We have the inner C's exposed. So the next thing we do on the axle will be cutting it, but now we need to concern ourselves with removing these ball joints. Don't really need to do this right now, but since this is essentially a teardown video, I thought that I would include this. These are two sets from not Harbor Freight, AutoZone, that I'm basically just renting. It's like 300 bucks. I believe that you need both sets. There's a master set and a regular set that comes with this big C to press them out. So we need to take off this C clip here on this ball joint. So we're going to use our nice snap ring pliers that are curved in order to get that off, and then we're gonna try and hammer this thing out. So let's see how we go. Yeah, a lot easier than the axle. There we go. Now we need to get the lower ball joint off, so we're gonna use a similar process. There we go. So now we have the ball joints out of both the upper and lowers. I'm gonna do it on the other side, and then we'll start cutting. All right, so we've got our portaband here, and what we're gonna be doing is, for sake of ease, taking off this section here. So this whole side I'm gonna take off and then work on that, taking all the bracketry. So we just need this outer C, and the ring and pinion. Inside this tube, there is no gear oil. That's all gonna be here in the ring and pinion, so this is dry. I don't have to worry about oil dripping everywhere. So I'm just gonna take the portaband and just start making some cuts. All right, so that made really light work of that. I mean, that took 2 minutes, and this is 3/8 inch steel. So yeah, that's a win. That saves me a lot of time. Angle grinder would have, yeah, it would have taken maybe a little bit longer, but also just not as fun. It's a really nice piece of machinery. So now we have this outer C and this whole thing that we can put over on our bench. And this is the tubing. So I believe this is 3/8 inch. I'd have to mic it to make sure, but 3/8 inch steel. And we're gonna have this retubed in 1/2 inch, I believe is what he's using. So it's gonna make it a lot easier now that this knuckle's off. We're gonna reposition the jack, cut this piece off here, and then we'll have just the other side left. And then we can start mocking up underneath the 80 series where we need to locate the ring and pinion. All right, there's that section cut off. So we've removed a lot of the bracketry in order to just get a good semi-clean cut, get this outer C off the rest of the axle tubing. And the reason is because we want to be able to get this prepped for the guy who's making these axles for us so that he can press these out. Let me show you. So that's your inner C, and you can see on the inside there's a race where the tubing is pressed in, so that's gonna get pressed out, but a lot of the area around this, there's a weld on the inside of that. If you can see right there, there's a weld. So he's gonna plasma cut that and then press the tube out from the C. So there's a lot of cutting involved in order to get the portaband in there and get a good cut. So finished with the passenger side, now I'm gonna start on the driver's side. Now we can go ahead and remove our ring and pinion. So we're gonna take off this cover here. So here we have our ring and pinion. We've got our 4 carrier bearing bolts. I'm gonna zip those off, and then we should be able to just take this thing out. So now we just have the pinion on the other side, so we gotta flip this thing around. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it on jack stands, but need to remove the pinion as well as these inner axle seals. Now we got it up on the table, we can remove our pinion from the flange here, the 32mm socket. Now I can remove our pinion gear. Alright guys, well that pretty much does it with the disassembly. Obviously I've still got a lot of work to do. This is going to be an ongoing build, so it's going to be lots of work and lots of money. So next thing I need to do is cut off this outer C. This one's going to be a little bit trickier because it's closer to the casting. Figure out what gear set we need. We'll probably go with 488s, and we want to do a locker obviously. But for now, we're going to keep the Toyota axles. A lot of you guys are kind of disappointed that we're going to be going to 1-tons already, and we won't be able to see how long it takes for the OEM 30-year-old shafts to hold up. We're going to run those for a while, don't worry. I'm going to keep wheeling with them, and very soon I should have a means in order to trailer the 80 series, hopefully down to Moab, Naches, lots of fun trails. So lots more wheeling content to come. I'm really excited to put these underneath the 80 series though. Next thing we need to do is figure out our dimensions, where we're gonna put the ring and pinion, how it's gonna hook up to our drive shaft, all of our angles, whether we 3-link it or not. I've got tons of stuff to think about, but for now, that'll do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.